I'm back, Miss Brock, or Miss Broccoli, or Miss Christy, and I'm going to read you a book that I was not read as a child. I was told this story over and over. And this story and another story I was told many times, and I got these books from the Cullman Library. And when I was a little girl, the Cullman Library looks almost exactly like it looks now. But there's a few differences. One of my favorite books to get there was Cinderella. And you could get books with a little bag, and they had a cassette tape in them. And you could go home and you could listen to the book and while you read it at the same time. And those are some of my favorite. So I had favorite books, but as a story, my mom often told me these two stories, the Three Little Bears and the Three Little Pigs. I don't know why there's threes and threes, but she would tell me the Three Little Pigs. And I got this one from the Cullman Library, and it actually is a Colcott. And if I'm thinking correctly, the Colcott wins because of the art, and the other medal wins because of the storyline. So this is a different take on the Three Little Pigs. It's not the traditional story. So that's always fun when they take an old story that you know, and they change it up a bit. And so one of the books, The Three Bears, this is the traditional one, and I got it from the library. But if you're like me, you like another take on the traditional things. And there is a video online, and it's hilarious for adults and children. And Dustin might put the link in there, but it is called Goldilocks and Three Little Bears Sing Their Little Hearts Out. And it's a claymation. And some of you know me from pottery class, and you know I love all things made with clay. And so if you like a different take on Goldilocks and the Three Bears, this is my favorite different take. But I'm going to read you Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And this is retold and illustrated by Jan Barrett. Oh, it's got some pretty illustrations. I do want to show this. I'm sorry. These are gorgeous. Got butterflies and strawberries. Okay. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And I hope you've heard this at least once in your life. Summary. Lost in the woods, a tired and hungry girl finds the house of the Three Bears where she helps herself to food and goes to sleep. I want to share you one of my little secrets. A lot of people don't know this, but if you open the cover to a book, on most book, it has a summary, and it'll tell you what the story's about. I love reading the summaries. But it didn't spoil the ending, so let's find out what happened. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. One of them was little, small, wee bear, and one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great, huge bear. Each had a bowl for their porridge, a little bowl for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized bowl for the middle-sized bear, and a great, huge bowl for the great, huge bear. And they each had a chair to sit in, a little chair for the little, small, wee bear, a middle-sized chair for the middle-sized bear, and a great, huge chair for the great, huge bear. And they each had a bed to sleep in, a little bed for the little, wee, small bear, a middle-sized bed for the middle-sized bear, and a great, huge bed for the great, huge bear. One day, after they had made their porridge for breakfast and poured their porridge into their bowls, they walked out into the woods while the porridge was cooling. And while they were walking, a little girl named Goldilocks came into their house. First, she looked into the window. Then, she peeped in the keyhole. Seeing no one was at home, she lifted the latch. The door opened before her, and she went in. How pleased Goldilocks was when she saw steaming porridge on the table. The sweet smell of porridge with roasted nuts and honeys and berries filled the room. It was so tempting that Goldilocks set about helping herself. First, she tasted the porridge of the great huge bear, but it was too hot. Then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear. It was too cold. And then she tried the porridge of the little, small, wee bear, and neither was it too hot or too cold. It was just right. And she liked it so much, she ate it all up. On a side note, this looks like the German drawings. These are excellent drawings. Take time and look at them. Then Goldilocks sat down in the chair of the great huge bear. It was too hard for her. Then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but it was too soft for her. And then she sat down in the chair of the little wee small bear, and this chair was neither too hard nor too soft. It was just right. So Goldilocks seated herself in it, and then she sat there until the bottom of the chair gave way, and down she came, plump, up on the floor. Then Goldilocks went upstairs to the bedroom in which the three bears slept. First, she lay down on the bed of the great huge bear, but it was too high, and it felt too high up for her head. Next, she lay down on the bed of the middle-sized bear, but it was too high at the foot for her. Then she lay down on the bed of the little, small, wee bear, and neither was it too high for her head nor for her foot, just right. She covered herself up comfortably and fell asleep. By this time, the three bears thought their porridge would have cooled down enough to eat, so they returned home for breakfast. Now Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great huge bear standing in his porridge. "Somebody's been at my porridge," said the great huge bear in his great rough voice. And then when the middle-sized bear looked at hers, she saw that the spoon was standing too. "Somebody's been in my porridge," said the middle-sized bear in her middle voice. Then the little wee small bear looked at his bowl, and the spoon was standing in his porridge, but the porridge was all gone. Oh, the spoon was standing in his porridge bowl, but the porridge was all gone. "Somebody's been at my porridge and has eaten it all up," said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Upon this, the three bears, seeing that somebody had entered the house and eaten little small wee bear's breakfast, began to look about. Now Goldilocks had not put the hard cushion straight from when she rose from the chair of the great huge bears. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair," said the great huge bear in his great rough voice. Then Goldilocks crumpled the cushion of the middle-sized bear. "Somebody's been sitting in my chair," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. And you know what Goldilocks had done to the third chair? "Somebody's been sitting in my chair and has sat the bottom right out," said the little small wee bear in his little small wee voice. Then the bears thought it necessary that they should make a further search, so they went up the stairs to the bedroom. Now, if Goldilocks had pulled the pillows off the great huge bear's out of place bed, he said, "Somebody's been lying in my bed," said the great huge bear in his great rough voice. And Goldilocks had pulled the cover off the middle-sized bear out of its place. "Somebody's been lying in my bed," said the middle-sized bear in her middle voice. And then the little small wee bear came to look at his bed. There was Goldilocks, sleeping peacefully, and her long, shiny braids spreading across the pillow. Little small wee bear just stared at her for a moment. He didn't say anything, but then he cried, "Somebody's been laying in my bed, and she's still here." Goldilocks heard in her sleep the great rough voice of the great huge bear, the middle voice of the middle-sized bear, but if it was only as if she had heard something small speaking in her dream. But when she heard the little small voice of the little small wee bear, it was so sharp and so shrill, so like her own, that she awakened at once. Up she started, and when she saw the three bears on the side of the bed, she tumbled herself off and ran to the window, and out Goldilocks jumped and ran as fast as she could, running, not looking behind her until she was very far away. And that's what happened to Goldilocks afterwards. And what happened to Goldilocks afterwards, no one can tell, but the three bears never saw anything more of her. The end.